What's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. On today's episode, we've got spring training updates, the WBC championship game, plus a very exciting Oracle Park open house Alex and I attended. Most importantly, though, Alex sat down with Giants third baseman Matt Chapman. So stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear from your opening day third baseman. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Why Mancini's? What separates us from others? The Rest Easy Promise. That means 365-night comfort guarantee, free next day delivery and old mattress removal, best price guarantee, and 0% financing for 60 months. You won't find this combination of benefits anywhere else. It's comfort, convenience, and confidence all rolled into one. Stop by or visit online at sleepworld.com. All right, let's start out with spring training fun. Alex, there are updates. There are more cuts, and we're getting closer and closer to seeing what this team's going to look like to start the season.
Wait, one thing we found out today at Media Day, which I almost want to start with, like the food and the promotions.
Like the highlight of my week. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do baseball first, but there's like a Mancini sleep room at the ballpark now for the players. Did you hear that?
I did. I thought that was a us exclusive thing, and I love to hear Mancini's is getting involved with the actual Giants in addition to Giants Talk. And I want to see if I can use that sleep room if I've had too many high noons by the seventh inning.
Yeah, either that or I'll show up at Clubhouse opens and just be like, hey, my son woke up early today. what do you guys got? We have some cut. We have a lot of cuts. They're starting to come in an interesting way. Like traditionally you get like once a week, you'll get a list of like 6-8 dudes. We're getting like 2 and then 4 and then 2, but basically every single day.
Trickle cutting.
They are trickle cutting. Well, I'm just gonna go through some of these guys here. Actually all of them. We can go through all of them, but
let's do them.
The guys who just, a little word on each of them on the way out.
Yeah.
First of all, cuts just means you're going to minor league camp. So
cuts does feel dramatic to say because during the regular season, obviously it means something very different. But these are spring training cuts.
These are spring training cuts. Blade Tidwell, he was optioned to AAA. I thought the first time I saw him this spring, he looked like he might be the team's closer. And then after that, a little bit more inconsistent.
Yeah.
But the stuff is there. He's like definitely could be a 2-pitch guy in the bullpen if they needed him to be. I think they want more out of him, obviously. But he looked like somebody who could help him out of the bullpen at some point this year. Jesus Rodriguez was optioned today. He hit 353 this spring. He played all over the field. It at times seemed like he was playing other positions more than catcher.
Yeah.
So he needs some work still catching. I thought he looked totally fine. Like he doesn't at all look like a guy who is not going to catch at the big league level, but really, really intriguing. Not surprised that he's going to AAA. He needs to play every day, but just a really interesting piece. And the comparison I made to him in a story the other day, and I will make it here, is like I almost feel like he could be the Wilmer replacement down the line and possibly this year. And by that, I mean, he's so comfortable at the plate and he's hit 300 at every level. He's like a 308 hitter in the minors. This is just what he does. And he could be somebody who you just feel really good about. You just felt good about Wilmer getting a hit in a big spot. And
when you saw Wilmer coming to the plate late in the game, it just felt like something different was in the air. But this is a cut that I have to say I was a little surprised by, or maybe disappointed, because I love, a versatile backup catcher who could do multiple things. But I get needing everyday playing time that obviously is not congruous with the idea of a backup catcher.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be on the team right now, but I really just liked what I saw. And, they put him out there at second. They put him in left. Just he never looks like he's a catcher playing another position and never looks like another position playing a catcher. So I liked it. I think he might be somebody who can help the bench sooner rather than later. But for now, a little bit more work to do and go play every single day. And it's not ideal for a young guy to be in that role. I mean, it's hard to grow into, but I just really like the approach. And yeah, I just kept thinking about Wilmer. Like we talked about this in the offseason, who kind of becomes that guy, like who's that guy that you trust off the bench. And I wonder if he gets there. It might be a lot to ask of a rookie, but just somebody who just hits everywhere.
Yeah.
Carson Wisenhunt, he was option. Velocity was up this spring. He was inconsistent. Command was inconsistent. But when he's good right now, it's really good. It's like 96, 97 with that changeup, and he's working on some other things. And he is going to go get stretched out. And, they don't need the left-handed emergency help right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll get stretched out. And whether it's him or McDonald, I think those two guys are probably 6 and 7 right now in terms of depth. And McDonald might make the team as a reliever, but they're going to need somebody. And I think Wisenhunt will get a pretty good chunk of starts for this team this year.
Yeah.
Jay Colton reassigned to minor league camp. He's a Los Gatos guy. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And showed some power. He's a little bit older. Has been around for a while, but looked like he could hit a little bit. So I think he'll be in AAA and probably we'll see what ends up happening with Bryce, but he'll be in that mix as well.
Yeah, not the position you want to be at in AAA. I guess Bryce hopefully won't be there too long, but
yeah. Parks Harbor, he unfortunately got hurt.
Bad time.
The other day. It's a 4 to 6 week grade 2 hamstring for Parks, so probably most of April for him now, if not all of April, is gone. The plan for him was to go to AA to start the year, and I don't know if that'll change a little bit just because he probably has to do some rehab. So a lot of times with those guys, they'll rehab at a lower level and then go to AA, but he should spend most of the season at AA. One thing that first of all, he could hit. Like he really, you can tell, like watching him in BP, watching him in games, another guy who like good skills up there. I was a little disappointed we didn't see him in the outfield much this spring because it feels like that's where this is headed for him.
Yeah, that's the growth spot.
Yeah, but he looked fine at third base when I saw him, and just for him, it's now about getting healthy. And then the last guy here, Buddy Kennedy, he's a veteran. The fun fact about him, I went and talked to him the other day, and it's like, oh, you were on the Dodgers last year, right? And he's like, I was also on the Blue Jays. So he was getting a ring no matter what.
Wow. If I remember correctly, it was one of those like 1 week with the Dodgers.
It was
not even like he was there for 2 months.
He played 2 games with the Blue Jays and 7 games with the Dodgers.
All right.
And he's going to get a ring. So he was guaranteed no matter what to get a ring. That's always
fantastic. Giants have had 1 or 2 of those in their World Series matchups.
Yeah, we've had some of those guys. So
yeah, so that's fun. All right, so the list is getting shorter for who could be on the opening day roster. No major upsets here, despite what Cole's heart might think. But what does this mean for, I guess, the real questions? Because it is whittling down the list. This doesn't actually make the real decision any clearer.
Yeah, there's some tough decisions still. I think, the one we talk about often is Bryce Eldridge. The strikeouts have started to pile up for him. So
yeah,
it's pretty high clip there. I came back home on Monday for a lot of reasons, partially so you and I could go eat everything at Oracle Park today.
We'll get to that.
And yeah, I will say the last few days I was there just talking to people, there was a real sense that he's most likely to start back in AAA. Okay. So I think, he kind of, the position they're in right now, I felt like they wanted to see him just like kind of crash the door down, smash the door down. So
yeah, force the issue.
Yeah, he hasn't totally done that. I mean, there's a little bit of time left, and we'll see ultimately what this roster ends up looking like and how many outfielders they want to keep and whether they want to trade somebody or what they do. But as of today, as of March 19th, I think he's probably going to start the season back in AAA. But this is one where, again, it's kind of been split for people the whole time in the front office and the coaching staff. And there are people who've always wanted him to get more time down there. And there are people who have always kind of just wanted to rip that Band-Aid. I think Tony's in that latter camp of like, just, let's do it. But we'll see what the front office decides.
Yeah. And not specific to Bryce himself, but it does seem like Buster, from what his statements have been, is like let the guys marinate and come up when they're ready mindset, just from his experience as a minor leaguer and the success they had when he was young.
And we've talked about this a lot. He just hasn't played a whole lot. So, it is, I think he's had good at bats. I think that the stretch he had where was a bunch of balls that were like 112, 113, and he had that at bat against Paul Skeens. Like he looked like he could compete at the big league level right now. But again, if Buster and Randy Wynn, who have a ton of experience with their own playing careers, decide that he probably needs a little bit more time in AAA, it's really hard to argue against that.
Yeah. All right. What about the outfield?
This is where I think, the guy who's made the biggest move recently, I think, is Gerard Encarnacion, who I would guess coming into camp, if you could go into those meetings behind closed doors, they probably wanted him to do this, to force the issue, as you said. And he's really been good the last couple of weeks, and really just, listening to Tony talk about him, like we're reading between the lines a lot with Tony, but this one, he just kind of comes out and says, like, I really respect how hard he's playing, how hard he's playing defensively. Like, a couple times he's gone out of his way to compliment Gerard and something he's done defensively or running the bases. And those aren't the reasons he's going to be on the team. But, if you ask me today, a week from opening day, I think it looks like he's probably going to be the DH on opening night against Max Fried. So I think he's put himself in a nice spot. Matos, you could carry both of them early on. I would love to see them if they carry Gerard, just kind of that second piece is like a speed guy, like a Grant McRae, or all of us really intriguing. Just we've talked about this before, but the games where he comes in and just kind of goes, all right, I'm going to steal second, I'm going to steal third. And Cole, you might know this, might not, might remember this has not been done a whole lot by the Giants in recent years. So,
no, not the speediest franchise, not the team that seems the most motivated to take extra bases on the base path. And, avid listeners might know something Giants Talk podcast has been begging for.
Maybe be a little more athletic. So
yes,
I think I would, the keeping inventory move here is keep Gerard, keep Luis Matos, and reevaluate after a few days maybe, and try to sneak one of them through waivers and do that. I think the fun move for me, if Bryce is not on the team, would be keeping Gerard and then keeping a speed guy behind him.
Yeah.
And, you have that kind of combo there with those two guys. I think the bench, it would be like a weird bench if it's like Suzak, Schmidt, Koss, Encarnacion, Matos. So it'd be a weird mix. But another one where they have a few days to figure it out. And then the last thing I think here is just the bullpen and the state of that group, and a few questions there. They've talked about taking 3 lefties, and Joey Lucchesi, who just showed up, is like pitching in games. So Eric Miller's back. Matt Gage, very comfortable position, I think, for him. But I don't think they'll take 3 lefties early on. Lucchesi, you could probably slow play a little bit because he got here late. But my big question would be, do they keep some of the young guys? And that's I think the big question over the next week with that group.
Do you want to know my big question is?
What's that?
Are we going to have an actual closer named in the bullpen? It's obviously like facto Ryan Walker's job to lose, but if we haven't even had an official opening day starter named, as you pointed out on the last podcast, I just want it named. The Giants have a closer, and this is who it is.
Logan Webb will start opening day, but also these things could change.
Yeah, these things could change, Alex.
Which, to be fair, I say a lot too. So it's,
you got to hedge a little. Sure.
I wouldn't say with Logan, but we kind of asked Tony about this the other day, and he made it pretty clear he doesn't want to name a closer, at least right now. And he said something about like he wants every guy to be able to do every role, which is great. Like,
yeah,
sure, but also like there's like maybe like 3 guys in that bullpen I'd throw in the 9th inning in any circumstance. So I really think they should just come out and I've liked what I've seen from Walker this spring. I think he learned a lot from last year. He wants that role, like really, really wants to be that dude. And one thing I think we do sometimes, and I know fans do sometimes, is like the guy has a bad year and you just fully give up and just forget like the year before when he was dominant and they moved him to the 9th and it was like, oh, okay, like everything's fine in the 9th inning now. So it's a short memory sport, but I would just like let Ryan Walker go out there the first few weeks and see what happens. And I think he's earned that right, and I think he wants it. and he's shown everything he had to show this spring. So I don't know that they'll ever name him their closer per se, but I think I'd run with that and maybe throw Eric Miller in the 8th and see if you find something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, but it would be nice to have it like in ink.
I mean, the light show people need to figure out what,
exactly. You can't run the same light show for every candidate.
You can't have Netflix come to town and you don't know who's going to get the light show. So
exactly. One other Cactus League update. We've been touting the Giants having the best record in spring training for a few weeks now, but no longer true. And to add insult to injury, it is none other than the Los Angeles Dodgers who surpassed them, who feels like must have been playing without most of their roster during the WBC.
Yeah, they're, I'd be a little wary of like Jack Sawinski's hitting balls like 460 and
great. Why wouldn't you?
It feels like they might just pull a couple things out of nowhere. So
they always do, Alex. They always do.
And it's the part where I kind of go like, you can't, these teams that complain, like also they do that with these guys as well. So, well, they've kind of been running randos out there most of the spring and have been really good. So of course they have, but
we have 3 days left of spring training baseball, 4 games wedged into there for the Giants. So we'll see what the meaningless Cactus League title ends up being, who it goes to. But that means spring training or opening day is less than a week away.
Do you have a shirt order in the works, like back-to-back Cactus League champs that you might have canceled?
You absolutely know it. And just, skirting the copyright enough that I'm not going to get flagged. I might set up a table and sell it on the Embarcadero before games.
We get merch questions every once in a while, and if we ever did merch, I wouldn't want any Giants talk merch. I would just want like
inside joke
Cactus League champs. Like it's I just want things like that. So yeah, Cactus League title's up for grabs. But remember, the Giants won it last year, and that didn't do anything for them. So
Alex, in defending a title is really hard. We know that in sports, there's nothing harder.
Really difficult.
Yeah, that's all right. Running parallel with the spring training games, of course, has been the World Baseball Classic, which came to a close just a few days ago with Team Venezuela beating Team USA 3-2 on Tuesday. Really fun ending to this tournament. Great games, great matchups, not the finals or even really quarterfinals that I think anyone expected going into this. Team Italy surging and going undefeated for so long before getting taken down by Venezuela. USA really underperforming throughout the whole thing, squeaking by wins and then getting blown out. A lot to talk about, I guess, from this WBC.
Yeah, it was an interesting night, and maybe this is just, the social media that I was on, but felt like a lot of people were just kind of like, well, Venezuela seems like they wanted a lot more, and this matters a lot more to them, and so good for them. So
yes, it's really hard to root for Team USA when it doesn't seem like the players are even really rooting for themselves. Jeter's out there saying, this isn't that big of a deal on the broadcast. I think, which player was it? Was it Bryce who said like this is not a big deal at all? Olympics is bigger. Don't devalue and demean the tournament you're in during the tournament. That's just you sounding salty immediately.
I hadn't even thought of the Jeter thing. Like, if you think this is a big deal or whatever, you've never played in the World Series. I'm like, well, yeah, Michael Garcia has not played in the World Series. He's a Kansas City Royal, but this means the world to him. So
yes, and there are guys who have played in the World Series, who have won World Series, who are saying that.
I didn't think the broadcast really rose to the occasion. There was a lot of weird shots during this. I just I was watching. First of all, it was just a really good game. But watching them, at the end with like people weeping during the anthem, saying, I don't know if you've seen this clip of like the closer with tears in his eyes before he throws that final pitch, which is also kind of badass, like knowing I'm about to blow this by you. Yeah. But it just was not there on the other side. And I think the biggest question, it sounds like it's going to be 2030 for the next one, just because there's probably going to be baseball in the Olympics. I I hope they find the mix that, like, I know this meant a ton to Logan. I know he was excited to be there. There were some other guys you could see. I just hope they find a mix that like seems like they're enjoying it a little bit more. And
yeah, the stone faced, like, we are taking this super seriously, but then also tongue in cheek, like this doesn't mean that much to us, was so I don't know, so opposite of what seemed like
yeah,
so many other teams were doing, which was just having the time of their lives. Team Italy doing espresso shots after home runs, all like, Team Venezuela and the DR going nuts in the dugout and the fans turning up in droves. Yeah, Team USA has to figure something out. I don't know if that's putting a team leader in charge who's a little more personable and riled up. I already said on this podcast, like, it'd be great if Stephen Vogt could step away from his spring training duties and manage the team. But something to just, I don't know, drive them to have some more fun. At the end of the day, they're stepping away from their multi-million-dollar jobs to do a fun little tournament on behalf of their country.
Yeah, it was just weird because like everyone else is having the most fun in the world, and they looked like, and alternately was like a group that took it way too seriously, but then also did things like put Clayton Kershaw on the team just because, like, I guess you thought you were going to roll to a title and Kershaw could just be the mascot for
at the end of the day, like this could have just been the curse of Clayton Kershaw that kept us from getting the championship.
Yeah, big games. Yeah, I hope they find a group that's like maybe a little bit younger, a little more fun. And look, they're never going to match the energy of like Venezuela or a Dominican Republic, but it doesn't have to be like that glum. Like, I don't know. I hope they find a better mix there. I'm curious to see what Logan says when he gets back and what it was like. But just felt very serious, and maybe they feel pressure of having to win because they're heavy favorites going in. But I think there's enough guys, and we saw it the year that like Crawford played, and like they seemed like they were having fun that year when they won the title. So I also think next time I hope this is more of an MLB thing, but like they they didn't use Mason Miller because the Padres didn't want him to get used, and I get it, but also like Venezuela had guys who pitched the night before. And so I just kind of feel like you just have to like roll with it, and also just stop doing this thing where you're replacing guys. And seems like they swapped out half their pitching staff before the semis. Just pick a team, and pick a team of guys who want to go out there and have fun and win a tournament and go with it. And you have the most talent still, even if you leave a couple of these guys at home.
Yeah, it's such a tricky spot and such a tricky tournament because it is part of something much bigger that most of these players are getting paid an absolutely mind-boggling fortune to do. So they cannot go out and overextend themselves for funsies for the WBC. I get that. That being said, having managerial decisions taken out of your hand during a championship game doesn't feel like it's a valid way to run this tournament.
Yeah, I just kind of think with the relievers, like it's, guys go back to back before the start of the year anyway.
Yes.
So it wouldn't and I don't really understand the concept of like Mason Miller can pitch in this one specific situation. But like, what if this game goes to extra innings? Mason Miller's just not going to pitch.
Yeah.
But they were okay with him pitching if they had a 2-run lead. There's a lot to figure out, including like who's in charge and, do they want to, just hand the reins to like Bruce Bochy or somebody like that, or Stephen Vogt would be great, but
do we want to get into that? Because that is a great call. And I have to imagine Mark DeRosa's out, if not just for the fact that he's been the center of so many hot takes and stories around this, accusing him of not knowing the rules, not knowing the seating, just being all over the place.
This may be one of those things that like is much more online than
probably is.
But I do think like with that team for that tournament to go the way it did for them, like I gotta think they're gonna try to find someone else a few years from now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it is, it's a role that has to be taken by someone unlike the players who is not a current acting professional manager,
and probably before 2028 because it's it's a manager of Team USA for the Olympics. And probably the same guy, assuming it goes okay, who gets the next WBC.
Yeah. Now, depending on how the Olympics shakes out, you probably could have an active manager doing that. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of question marks around the Olympics that I'm really interested to see how they shake out, because I can't imagine something's going to go wrong with that.
There's a lot to figure out.
How many players are going to be red hot going into this whatever length break, the Olympics, and whether or not they play or don't play in the Olympics, come out and are ice cold afterwards, and that's where fingers are pointed.
They'll be okay. So they'll be okay. Sometimes it's, I was thinking about like the hockey tournament they did, the whatever they called it, where it was like nations against each other.
Yeah,
it was just one of the coolest things hockey's done in a long time, and it's like everyone will be okay on the other side of this. So just don't, it seems like almost everybody came out of this tournament healthy too, like except for a couple fluke things. So it'll be fine. You can run this tournament. You can run it in a better way. But I thought it was a ton of fun. And I'm glad we got 2 weeks of really fun baseball. And shout out to Luis Arias and Jose Buto, who are
bringing home rings,
world champs. And both of them, like Arias made the all tournament team, and Buto looked awesome. Like, I think going back to our bullpen discussion, like you throw him in the late innings there and hope that he can carry that over.
The Giants have a long history of some great Venezuelan players. And Alex, I was trying to see if I could put together a strong, like contending all-time SF Giants Venezuelan starting lineup.
Did you?
It's the outfield is the only place I'm struggling. I got Yusmeiro Petit pitching, Yorvik Torrealba at the plate, Wilmer, Scudero, Pablo Sandoval, and Vizquel in the infield. Vizquel comes with some dicey baggage, so you could put Arias or Estrada's in there as well. But really, the outfield's Gregor Blanca. Luis Matos doesn't seem like he's a fit for this Legends roster. So that's it. I might be starting some infielders in my outfield.
Arias has played left field in his career.
There we go. Lock him in the left.
There you go. Lock him in. They do have a good history there. There was one of the title years they had a lot of Venezuelan guys. So
they did.
Fun tournament.
Really, really fun tournament. Any other big picture changes we want to make? As we were talking, I was trying to think what like energy I would want Team USA to encapsulate. And I want to see them like dropping the Bash Brothers bash on each other and really going over the top like that. Rip the sleeves off the unis.
You know what they need is they just need to put Will Clark in the dugout. He played in the Olympics. Just put him in the dugout.
That's a great call.
That at least would have been some emotion.
Yes, that's a vibes changer for sure.
There you go. All right, we solved everything.
Fantastic. And then what about, do you like it where it is? There's been that proposal pitched to do the WBC as like an extended all-star break that's going around. That doesn't really seem viable to me for the same reasons I was talking about the Olympics earlier, just taking that many days off for the guys who aren't in the tournament. But it would change things up quite a bit.
You know what all the people who float that forget is how boring spring training in general is.
Yeah.
And that we just got 2 weeks of like great baseball, including, we all have our takes and we've done a lot on Team USA here. And like that, it made baseball the center of the sports world quite often.
Yes.
Especially the last week.
In an era where only the sickos are caring about or talking about baseball.
So, I guess you could do that over the summer as well. All-star breaks like the slowest time of the year traditionally.
Yeah.
But I think it's a nice time for it. It works out. Guys are in shape. They go there and they come back in shape. And it all worked out injury-wise for the most part for guys this time. There's been a couple flukes over the years, but yeah, I think it works well. I don't really see a need to change it.
No, if anything, my only thing would be to say start it a little earlier. Like kick spring training off with this, and then these guys come back for a few weeks.
I think it gives them enough time to get ready. And I mean, look, it's March 17th that we had this really, really fun baseball game that everyone was watching. And then March 18th, everyone shows up back in camp and there's a week to go. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense to me. WBC is over. We'll see if the U.S. can take the crown next time around. There's a long time until then. Until then, hats off to Team Venezuela for bringing it home and bringing home rings for a few of them to San Francisco. We've got the Giants open house you and I attended that I want to dive into, plus your interview with Matt Chapman. But before we get into that, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World offers high-quality mattresses for ultimate comfort and support, so you wake up energized and refreshed every morning. Plus, in addition to their Rest Easy promise, they have ongoing deals on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, starting at $29 a month, Avocado, Helix, and more. Rest easy at Mancini Sleep World. Stop by or visit online at sleepworld.com. Okay, Alex, to preface this, you're an old hand at Giants Media Day. This was my first Media Day. Would you like, what's your like elevator pitch or one sentence explanation to fans of what this is?
It is a day where the Giants kind of reveal all their promotions, which, you know, we know already, but they're there like on a table. If you go to my Instagram, like there's pictures of Willie Adames bobbleheads and all the shirts. They kind of go over some of the new things at the ballpark, which we'll go over as well. And then they feed us all the new food. So it's why most people show up, to be honest, is just all to try all the new food. But
it was really funny how much the energy of the event changed when they were like, all right, time for the food.
All right.
Everyone's just
everyone over there. Yeah. And it used to be worse. It was more organized this year than it's been in past years food wise. But that's when I always film an Alex Eats video. You may have shown up a couple times.
I may have
stuff in your face.
I ate like a king.
Yeah. So that's coming up. But you and I had a great time, and I always find it just an interesting day as well, because we get answers to certain things that you're waiting on. This is not an answer, but for people who didn't see, there's Chick-fil-A advertisements on the foul poles now.
Yeah, for being a very chicken finger centric podcast, you'd think that would be almost emergency podcast worthy from us. I still think that is a very strange vibes fit for the San Francisco baseball team. Maybe not as strange as the NFL stadiums that have Chick-fil-A in it and then are closed on like the one day of the week that the games are played on. But yeah, not too keen on that. Also, they're very ugly. But
we mostly try to stay away from politics on this podcast, but it's an interesting fit.
It's a weird fit.
I've eaten the food quite often in my life. I think my main note here is a lot of teams have these things now on their foul poles. I feel like if you have an advertisement, you should have food in the ballpark. So that's my complaint. I don't want to.
If someone hits a home run off that foul pole, it should be like, everyone at the ballparks, go get your sandwich right now.
Yeah, go rush spicy chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
grab it. Waffle fries, you're good to go. So they're I think they're in Oakland and like Daly City are the two closest ones. So but that's one that people will see when they go there. We got the answer of where is the Jung-Hoo crew moving.
They're migrating with him, which I think we assumed or at least hypothesized on this podcast.
Section 145 and 146 moving over there.
And this is the official Giants Jung-Hoo crew, not the wig-wearing Jung-Hoo
not the
crew.
hooligans.
We'll see what the hooligans do.
If they shift over a little bit towards right field.
Exactly.
We got the answer of who's going on the Wall of Fame this year. It's the Brandons.
Yeah.
Buster Posey, Pablo Sandoval, and Joe Panic. So 5 infielders.
Yeah.
They wanted to put their infield in together. Interesting decision. I would ordinarily say feels like Buster should get his own day, and even some of those other guys, but especially Buster. But also, I'm sure Buster was part of this decision. So
yeah, I imagine they were like, "Hey, we're gonna put the Brandons in," and Buster was like, "Hey, can you just do us all? I would rather not have a day dedicated to myself here."
Some Joe Panic jokes were made online. I think you people are all exposing yourself as not remembering the glove flip. So,
exactly. Joe Panic won us games in that postseason.
He qualified for the Wall. He's going on the Wall.
Yes, he's going on the Wall.
And then I got a couple questions from people, and they're like, is this a mailbag question? Or asking about Bum and Timmy, and they're well aware. I think this was a goal to do the infield just like they did the core 4 and celebrate those guys. And I do know just one thing I've talked to some Giants people about the last few weeks is I heard some of the names that were going up here is they were like, when Timmy's ready for it, Timmy gets his own day.
Absolutely.
And Bum as well, but Timmy especially, when he's ready for that, he gets his own day.
That's not even going to be an Oracle Park day. That's like a in the city of San Francisco day.
Might as well just call off school and work the entire day. So
exactly.
which is probably his absolute nightmare.
Yeah, that's why he's not doing it.
Yeah. And then what else do we get? A new Gigantes jersey?
Looked really cool. Looked really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing them wear that every Saturday home game. All kinds of really cool merch and giveaways associated with that. We saw a lot of the giveaways. I had my eye on multiple Gigantes items that I will be rocking.
There, I did see you like just staring longingly at a sweater.
Yep, that was me.
I was like, someone just take that off the rack, Coles.
I thought there was a chance. I checked the tag; it wasn't my size. I would have swiped it if
you just put it on.
If it fit. Yeah,
yeah. We got first look at some of the bobbleheads. The Adames bobblehead is one of the coolest things I've ever done.
The Adames bobblehead is Willie Adames hoisting a Gatorade, or I think it's Gatorade. It's not a
Powerade.
It's Powerade. Hoisting a Powerade container over his head with the liquid half spilled out. It is a very, very cool bobblehead.
Just tremendous. Jungle Lee's bobblehead has a foam finger that comes off. So
removable foam finger. My cats would take that second one.
Some good work there. The Brandon Belt shirt has a C on it, which is
love that. It's a Hawaiian shirt with the C.
Yeah. So there was some good things. And then I think the biggest thing is you and I were just standing there listening to this presentation for an hour and just kind of like low key high-fiving.
Yeah.
Just fun. We were like, we did that. We did
that. It's Giant Stuff did that.
Maybe.
Well, so let's run down the things we think we can take credit for.
Yes.
Off the top, I'm going to say the updated scoreboard with new graphics and new stats that we talked about on this podcast a few months ago, how that was something that we wanted added because you've seen it around other ballparks in the league.
That was in the works last year. I heard some about it, but I just also want to take credit for it.
Yeah.
So,
that's valid.
You and I have talked about it a lot and complained about it a lot. So that's a win.
Speaking of things we've talked about a lot and complained a lot, the chicken tenders offerings were expanded with them now available at the Doggy Diner, which is like the most common concession stand at the ballpark, essentially doubling the amount of places you can get your chicken. So thumbs up for that. Keep the chicken upgrades coming.
I almost thought we were going to show up in the PowerPoint at that point. when they mentioned that, they just moved on to the next thing, and I'm like, well, okay. Cole and I are very excited about this.
And then a minor one. This was from a listener who requested this. Is they increased the amount of Hello Kitty giveaways. I think they said it's 2 different games now with 3 times the total merch given out because of how big of a fan spectacular it has become. So we fielded that mailbag question a month or so ago. Didn't have real answers for you, but hey, here it is. You were heard.
Yeah, that was the word. 2 days. I believe you're right. It was 3 times the merch. So those lines were crazy, and I guess they won't be as crazy. But listener, I don't remember who you are, but we'll give you credit, and you're part of the Giants Talk universe. So
done. You're now canon.
I think our main thing is we have no complaints currently, and we need a couple things to be on the warpath about.
Yeah, so, people have submitted some items for what Giants Talk should be politicking for this year. I don't think we've really received the one that quite fits our fancy, but keep them coming. The other thing at Media Day, of course, is the food. Maybe the most exciting thing, the most Alex and Cole centric thing we heard about. I mean, there's also Oracle Park upgrades, and they renovated this terrace, and the entryway has TV screens, and this luxury booth has new carpet. You'll see all those, or maybe you won't. And let's talk about food.
If you work at an AI company right now and you're listening to this, you will see those. If you are like just bringing your kids to a game, you probably won't see a lot of the.
Yeah, you won't clock the new entry gala.
But the new food, there was a birria grilled cheese that I had 2 of and just was off the charts.
It was on sourdough, but almost tasted like a brioche, like a really soft.
So good.
Great.
We had some more Korean offerings, which I think we've been talking about as well in the past.
Some bulgogi bowls that were great.
Saw you eating multiple helpings of waffle fries with chicken tenders on them.
Yeah, that would be the closest thing to the Chick-fil-A offerings. Giants have a new Lucky Fry. It's waffle fries with like a sweet and spicy chicken. Fabulous. Mega thumbs.
And most importantly, There's a 999 challenge.
The 999 challenge is real at Oracle Park. I can't wait to attempt it. 9 little beers, 9 small beers, 9 small hot dogs, 9 innings. I can't wait.
You may be doing this like during an early game, and you turn to me and you're like, "Is that a podcast night?"
I literally, yes, I will have to plan my first 999 challenge around when we are not taping right after the game. And of course, it'll be like, all right, there's a no-hitter. We're doing an emergency podcast after Cole's 999.
They're tiny beers.
They're a few small beers.
Yeah, just small beers. So you'll be, but the box is awesome. And it's like, I mean, I almost want to just bring in the press box.
You should. Fill it up with non-alcoholic beer just as a joke and see if anyone says anything.
I get 9 Diet Cokes and 9. But that was a good addition to the ballpark.
Yeah. So no, very cool. Several other items we didn't even really get to time to dive into here on the podcast. There's a really cool Caribbean Dutch Crunch sandwich. There's a new quesadilla. There's some bubble tea, a bunch of dessert offerings, cool like popcorn filled bats and little Powerade jug cocktail glasses. So they did do the plastic souvenir stuff we kind of touched on, but I think they could do more with that.
Well, there's like a little Gatorade jug of some sort of like some sort of
cocktail.
Yeah. No, it's good. You and I are always, that's a big day for us. So
yes,
I think we actually get a ton of questions from Giants Talk listeners about promotions. So I think one reason we talk about it so much is promotions and food and where to eat. But we'll have a video coming out soon on all that stuff. But yeah, some good new offerings.
Great new offerings. I can't wait for everyone to experience them for themselves. I can't wait to see what else there is we didn't get to try, including our favorite rotating pop-up in center field. And more than anything, I just cannot wait for opening night and opening day to get here because we're a week away.
It is the funny thing about media day. It is sometimes, especially in a quiet off season, like the first time I've been at the ballpark in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like walking in. It's like, oh, okay, we'll be back in a week.
Yeah.
So same ushers, same people.
You get to see a lot of familiar faces. People you probably see a ton. I don't see that often. It was great to see everyone. I saw like Instagram food influencers that I recognized from my feed. And I was like, oh, good poll, Giants. The snack sensei. Very cool.
There you go. Yeah. Fun day.
All right. With that, Matt Chapman, what do we think? Anything we need to know going into this podcast, Alex?
I'm going to be fully transparent in this. I did not have 9 beers, but it's been like about, I think, exactly a month since I sat down with him.
So when you listen to this, it's going to be as new for you as it is for our listeners.
It's going to be. I remember being like, oh, that was good. So he's
great.
He was great. Talked about a month ago. And my main thing with Matt Chapman is I don't know that I've seen him not hit a ball hard since that interview. So
great.
He looked locked in this spring. To the point that I'm curious if they like changed some of their earlier lineup plans, just because you could put together a lineup where you have like Arias, Devers, Adames, maybe do something else like Chapman sitting 4th or 5th. Like I would want him like is getting as many as at bats as possible early in the year, because he just looked absolutely locked in the entire spring.
All right. I'm salivating, Alex. Let's toss this to Matt Chapman.
I can't wait to find out what I asked him. All right, Matt, I want to start by going back to last year. I know you didn't talk much about your injury at the time, but looking back, there's about a 90-point difference in OPS from before to after. When you got into the offseason and started thinking about it, how much did that impact what you were able to do at the plate?
It definitely impacted it. It's just kind of sucks because we were starting to roll. We were in first place in June, going to Dodger Stadium to go. We were going to Colorado and then going to the Dodgers, and we were tied with the Dodgers going into that series. Then obviously, took different paths, during the summer. But for me, it's disappointing, not in like my own, statistics. Yeah, did it affect my season? And I did not feel the same once I came back. And I also came back as fast as I, possibly could, when it probably needed more time to heal. But I felt like before I got hurt, I was really starting to swing the bat well. I was playing well. We were starting to roll. And we had some good momentum going into that road trip. And then unfortunately I got hurt. And it just sucks to not be able to help the team out.
You came back much earlier than anyone expected, and you end up having to deal with it again. Did you learn anything about, or would you just do that again the same way and just go, I need to be out there with the guys?
It's hard. It's like, that's kind of my nature, is to, I feel guilty when I don't play. I feel bad not being there for the guys. And it's like, I would rather be out there and play through pain than just sit and watch. But I think the issue is like, am I helping the team if I'm not able to play at my full strength? And I mean, obviously somewhat yes, somewhat no. So I kind of had to try to weigh those options, but it got to the point where my hand was hurting too bad. I had to kind of shut it down again and then get some cortisone shots and finish the season and did what I could. But unfortunately it just needed, like, all reality, it probably needed like 3 months to heal. And I only gave it a month. And, I feel great now. I'm healthy. Everything's good. It's healed up. So I'm excited, and I'm going to be a little bit smarter on the bases and not, it sucks to get hurt running.
It's a weird one, though. I mean, just it
was just a weird play. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to try to steal bases, but I'm just going to, sometimes I guess you have to accept the fact that if you get picked off, you get picked off, and don't just try to be a Superman and do something crazy and hurt yourself. So unfortunately, that's the way it happened. And it just sucks because we were playing really well. Willie was starting to heat up. Me and Willie could have been, playing really well together. We didn't really line that up last season. And then we got Rafi, and obviously it took Rafi a little bit to get going. But once he got going, he looked like himself. He did great. So I'm really excited about this year, having the three of us all, clicking at the same time.
I tweeted this yesterday, a video of Rafi taking BP, just like a reminder that he's here the whole year. For you guys to have him here, and you're in his BP group, you're doing work with him back there, he's just kind of different than most hitters. What's that going to mean to this lineup to have a full year of Devers?
It means it's going to mean a lot. He's an elite hitter. He's been elite his whole career. And I think something that's probably overlooked with him is just like, he's a smart baseball player. He's a smart hitter. He understands how guys pitch him, what he's looking for. He doesn't just go out there and just swing. He's got a real good routine. He's always, working on getting a good feel and getting in a good position. So I think he's just a very advanced hitter, and I think that's why he's so consistent. Every single year you can freaking pencil the dude in for 30 and 100 and 870 OPS, whatever it is. Like, he's just been super consistent. And I think for him to be in our lineup every single day is just going to be huge for us. He's a presence in the lineup. He's somebody that people, circle and pay attention to. And, I think he's going to be a guy that can help carry us. And we have a lot of other guys around him that are really good. And I think this year our lineup is definitely has a lot more length to it. It's going to be hard to navigate. And, I think we're all going to be able to, really build off of each other.
There's a lot made of what happened in Boston when he was leaving. Tony tells us yesterday, he gives his first full speech, and he said you were one of the guys who talked to the team. He said Devers did as well, and I've heard from some other guys who's been maybe a little more vocal behind the scenes than we might expect. What kind of teammate have you found him to be?
I think he's an amazing teammate. I think the whole Boston thing just kind of got, maybe a little bit misconstrued, or I think that they kind of just mishandled the relationship. I don't think it had anything to do with Rafi. I talked to guys that played with him. They all loved him. Bregman loved him. All his teammates loved him. I think they were all sad to see him go. We're happy to get him. That's obviously, not here nor there anymore. Yeah. It's not our issue, but I think that, I think it was more so just, weird situation, probably got some bad communication, mishandled, but all my experiences with Rafi have been unreal. He's a great teammate, great person. Everybody loves him. Team loves him. And yeah, maybe he's not a guy that's going to stand up in a meeting and call a meeting or do something like that. But he's been called on, he speaks, he talks to guys one-on-one, really helps guys in the cage. He's a good teammate. He cares about his teammates, and I think he's the right guy for us.
A new teammate for you, Luis Arias. I would imagine as a third baseman, you're always kind of on high alert when he's at the plate, knowing this might get shot the other way.
Sure, with the way he handles the bat, I mean, he can put the bat on the ball in any situation, hit the ball anywhere. And I know where he's looking, he has the actual ability to hit it where he's looking. So I was trying to follow his eyes and see where he's hitting in the 6 hole. And we had a little good game of cat and mouse going. I'd steal some hits from him. He'd hit some past me. So it was fun competing against him, but I'm really excited to have him at the top of our lineup and, in the lineup every single day, playing second base. I think he's going to surprise people defensively. Yeah. I also just think that, like I was talking about lengthening in our lineup, now we kind of, our infield is set. Our outfield looks like it's pretty set. We got Patrick Bailey behind the plate. So it's like we have an everyday lineup, it's like that was something last year where, we didn't have, a guy set in positions all the time. So I think when you have, 8 or 9 guys that you're running out there almost every day, or at least seven starters every single day, you get comfortable. There's a familiarity playing with each other. You get comfortable where you're hitting the lineup. And then that's when you start to, see, the best brought out of guys. And I think, you pay attention to some of the best teams in the league and, the top half of their lineup or their everyday position players, it looks the same every day.
Tony has talked about that, the importance of just knowing kind of it's on autopilot is the way he put it. For you, how big of a difference is this from 2 years ago when you first got here to now? I mean, Willie's at short, Rafi's at first, Luis is going to be at second. Like you said, you kind of know who's going to be there with you every single day.
Yeah, it has changed a lot. It's grown, but that's why I stayed here, is because I knew what Buster's vision was and that we were going to try to create a perennial winning team and a team that's going to make the playoffs every year, compete for the division. That's our goal, is to win the division and win the World Series. So that was my goal. That's Buster's goal. And it starts with getting guys like that, and, I'm proud to be a Giant, proud to be here. And, I'd like to think that, because I signed here and stayed here, good things started happening. I think that, Willie came here because I came here, and Rafi was okay with coming here because, me and Willie were here and we wanted to win. And then, now other guys want to come here and Bader chooses to come here. Reyes chooses to come here. More guys that I see off the field want to come here. Guys want to play here. Guys want to be here. Guys want to be a part of it. They see what we're doing. So, I'm extremely excited for, what this season brings. And, I'm glad that the Giants gave me the opportunity. And, I thank Webby for that, for getting me here. So I think, Webby's been here since the beginning, but, they've been building something, and they're bringing Robbie and me. And, I think we all believed what this could be. And, I think this year we're going to see a massive step forward for the Giants.
In 2021, Buster stood up in that room up there and said, let's go win the division. And everyone kind of went, well, the Dodgers have won 8 years in a row. They've won 2 titles in a row. They keep getting better. You talk about winning the division. How do you vocalize that with your teammates and maybe help them explain to them that, like, you can't go out there and just be like, we're a wild card team this year?
No, and I think that comes with the experience. I think that's what helps by getting position players like Bader, Arias, and now me and Willie and Devers. So it's like, when you have a bunch of guys that maybe haven't got a ton of experience or understand that, it's like, instead of having to go out there and just say it or be rah-rah or explain it, it's like we go out there every day and it doesn't matter who we play, we expect to win, and this is how we play and this is how we do things. And now we have more and more guys that do that on the position player side. It's just the young guys that, you kind of show them the way, right? And then they understand that, okay, this is what we do and this is the commitment we make every day and this is who we are and this is what we expect. So I think for me, it's about us getting the right guys in the lineup every day and going out there and just setting the tone and being like, this is what is expected of you when we go out here. And that's win every day. It doesn't matter if we're playing the Dodgers or we're playing the Rockies. It's like we expect to win. We're going to go out there and win, and it doesn't matter who we're playing. Like we're going to go out there and win and play our game. So I think that's the biggest thing. And, the best teams I've been on do that. I've played in a lot of tough divisions with good teams. So I don't think we shy away from anything, and we go out there and expect to win. Doesn't that really play?
Buster has talked about having a bit of an edge, and he says that's one thing that drew him to Tony, and maybe even being uncomfortable for other teams to play. What does that mean to you?
Kind of that, building off of like what I was saying there, but I think it's good. It's good to be. I've been on plenty of teams that are counted out, and the teams I played on with the A's, like nobody expected us to win 97 games 2 years in a row, but you have enough guys that take the field and believe that and play like that, and then it's kind of contagious. So I think we, as a group, understand that we are really good. Doesn't matter if we're projected to come in fourth place, or this team is on paper better than us, or whatever it is, or people don't believe in us, whatever it is, or we've dropped a couple games in a row. It doesn't matter. We go out there, we know we're good. We have a group we believe in, and just kind of using that as to stick together and play with an edge, and then just that becomes the way you play the game. And then that's how you play winning baseball. And that's, I think, any team that wins plays like that, and you can kind of call it whatever you want, but it's like, even a team, like the Dodgers last year wins, they play the game the right way. They play the game hard. They don't give in. So I think that's playing with an edge. For me, it's like, yeah, it maybe becomes more glaring if you're maybe not the team that's projected to be number one or whatever it is, but playing with an edge to me just means, never giving in, trusting yourself, believing in the guys that you have around you. And it doesn't matter who you play, we're expecting to win, and we're going to play hard, and we're not going to back down from a challenge.
It's no secret you're very close to Bob Melvin. You were in his corner last year multiple times when we talked to you. When the change happened and Tony got brought in, was there anything Tony had to prove to you? I know he said he wanted to talk to you right away and meet with you here. Was there anything you needed to see from him?
No. I mean, I was all on board once he got hired. It's part of the business. I love Bo Mel. I love Rhino. I love Matty, G, all those coaches that I've been with for, 7 years of my career. I played with those guys, but I understand that, the way that we finished the season last year, it's kind of ugly. Somebody's got to take the blame. You can't just fire the whole team. So I understand that, things like that happen. I would have always loved to win a World Series with Bo Mel. That was always our goal, but sometimes that's just not the way, things go. Baseball is a business. I feel extremely lucky to have gotten to play with him again. Who knows what's going to happen with him and those guys, but I was pumped. I'm here to be a Giant. I'm here to win. I had no preconceived notion that Tony had to prove something to me or whatever that is. I was all on board from the second that he called me and reached out. Just want to let him know that I'm all on board. I'm here to win. Whatever you need from me, I'm all in. So and I think that there's always question marks with guys that don't have experience in the major leagues or whatever it is, but he's won everywhere he's been. Just from his presence and the way he communicates and the way he carries himself, it shows why he's successful. I think that he's definitely very motivational, very wise, understands the game of baseball. So I think winning baseball, whether it's in college, high school, professionals, minors, there's slight differences, but winning baseball is winning baseball. There's not too many different formulas. So he understands that. He's going to learn quickly, and I'm just super, super excited. And I know that from the beginning, whatever Buster does, his vision, and my vision are the same. He wants to win. I trust Buster. I trust that Tony made a big impact on him in his meetings, and so I was all in from the beginning. And from my handful of days here, and from hanging with him and seeing him in the off season a couple times, I think it's been he made the right choice, and I understand why. I'm super excited.
I'll finish with this. There's this weird shadow hanging over this entire season, the uncertainty of a potential lockout next year, and it seems like it's getting talked about a lot. The game has been in a great place the last couple of years. You've been doing this for a long time. How do you veterans, how do you as players, maybe guys who are going to have more of a vested interest in making sure the Players Association gets what it needs, how do you handle this season and what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think most baseball players are task at hand kind of guys. This season is the most important thing. And then we'll kind of worry about that stuff when it comes. But my personal opinion on it is I'm really not worried about it. I think that you can't believe everything that you read. Baseball's in a great spot. Just look at the World Series this last year. I mean, so many people watched it. Just if you compare the Super Bowl to the World Series, I mean, look at how entertaining the World Series was. So I think that baseball, the new rule changes, a lot of things have helped the game. The game's in a great spot. Owners are making a ton of money. Games in a great spot. High attendance, high ratings. People love it. So I just don't see any reason to kill any good momentum we have going with the game. We have too many good things going. So my personal take is I'm really not worried about it. I think that the owners and MLB, Manfred, they understand what I just said. They know that, baseball's in a great spot. The Players Association and the players are always ready to, come to the table. So I really don't see an issue. I think it's gonna be a great 2026 season for MLB, and then I think it's just gonna, continue to build.